So hopefully you enjoyed the first tool, the first idea that I offered in this series of coaching tools. This second one is sometimes called admirable characters, is sometimes referred to as heroes. I've seen it used by lots of different people in lots of different contexts. And the essence of it is to look at who you admire and use that as a way of accessing what's important to you. In my last video I talked a little bit about values at that being level, at the level of who you are, not just what you do or what you've got. At the level of who you are, your values are drivers of your behaviour and also can be goals too, to be more of that, to fulfil that value, to live that value even more. So knowing what your values are can be vital, and it's not a conversation we have very often. So it can be a great starting point or a foundation stone of that being level to know what your values are. It helps you to know who you are and who you want to be. So think of 2 or 3 people who you really admire. Even one really strong one is great, but you can think of a couple, 2 or 3 people who you really admire. And then for each of them, list 2 or 3 of the qualities you admire most about them. So if we go for 3, for instance, one time I did this exercise, and this may change over time when you may come into contact with new people. Mine were I admired my mum, I admired a close friend of mine, and I admired Barack Obama for the stand he was making in the world. Now once you've chosen those 2 or 3 people who you admire, who you really deeply admire, then consider, as I've said, consider what are the qualities about them that you admire most. And I recommend trying to get that down to a short phrase. If you can say it in one word, great. Certainly a very short phrase. So for instance, one quality that I noticed 2 of my 3 heroes, my 3 admirable characters, shared was working within the system to change the system. So that's a short phrase. And another quality that my mum lived and breathed was deep care, and that's very important to me. So there's a couple of examples, but it could also just be as simple as courage, facing adversity, inspiration, inventiveness, creativity. Whatever those values are, think of those values that are what make that person inspiring to you and list those. So the next step then, you've found your heroes, you've found the people that you admire, you've worked out what these 2 or 3 qualities for each of them are, and it may be that they have some in common that could be particularly significant. And then once you've worked out what those qualities are, it's to reflect on how do you live those qualities, those values in your life. How do you live them right now? And I'd say the odds are, if you're admiring them in other people, you've got them in yourself, somewhere in there. It may be hard for you to recognise, but I'd suggest they're in there. I sometimes use the phrase, spot it, you got it. If you can see it in other people, then you must have it somewhere in yourself. So look at how you're living those values in your life right now. And if you want to be living them more, then look at how you can do that. How can you build that value more into your life? And if you're already doing a great job, then celebrate that, because it means you're really on track. And having drawn out those values and got familiar with them, you've then got a yardstick, a benchmark against which to measure any future choices. Whether that's a choice about what job you do, or whatever the choice is about the life you're creating for yourself, you've got a benchmark to say, is this something I really want to commit myself to? Is this something I want to spend time doing? Is this something I want to invest my energy in? Because if it doesn't meet with those values that you know are dear to your heart, it's worth asking a deep question. about whether or not it's the right choice for you. So once again, I hope that's useful, and there's more to come.